My name is Sergio Giralt. I'm currently the Chief of the Adult BMT Service at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. I've been a member of the American Society of Blood and Marrow Transplant for more than 20 years and was privileged for being the president, actually the 20th president of the Society in 2014, following the presidencies of E.J. Spall and Fred LeMaitre. The nice thing about ASBMT and the transplant community in general is we really, we coalesce around our national meeting, the tandem meeting, the ASBMT and CIBMTR. These meetings used to be first the Keystone meetings, and the Keystone meetings we would go to Keystone and everybody interested in transplant would form working groups, there would be research. And through the registry, we've actually had a lot of collaborative research. And then, eventually people said, look, we need to have our own society. And these were the same people who were meeting every year for the registry. And we had to have our own society, just one, to be able to police ourselves, make sure that there was actually quality in the care that was delivered throughout the country. This was the time when breast cancer was an indication for autologous transplants, and they were starting to, auto transplant units were, just growing in the country without any sort of regulation. So I think it was really inspirational from the leadership to say, look, we better start policing ourselves and making sure that transplant is being delivered with good quality. And actually with the ASBMT, the Foundation for Accreditation of Cellular Therapies began at that time. And we developed, what is now a model of quality care for all transplant programs across the country and now across the world. So, my first and I would say principal mentor was Richard Champlin. I was a second-year fellow and starting to do my concentration. I worked under him for 3 years until I became a faculty member under his leadership at MD Anderson Cancer Center. I can't say enough about him. He's an inspirational leader. He's an example of what a good doctor, good science, and a good scientist and a great transplanter is. But I've also been, lucky to meet a lot of the giants in the field, including Don Thomas, who was, one of the fathers of stem cell transplantation and was the head of the program in Seattle. And the nice and good things about those tandem meetings is that you really have the young people meeting, the senior people, and there is a sense of camaraderie. And the feeling amongst, now I'm one of the senior people, is that we really need to make sure that the young people get adequately mentored and become as passionate in the field as we are. I can tell you, like Mary Horowitz in the CIBMTR. The IBMTR is the place where many of us started doing our first research, and many of our first papers actually are IBMTR papers. And for the younger people entering the field, this is a great place to network. So not only you to go to generally, good places, a meeting that's very well organized, fabulous science, but the working groups are, I would say, the seeds of great collaborative networks that begin. And I think the fact that Doug Rizzo, Mary Horowitz, Marcelo Paschini have put together, what is the modern register today and have used it as a way of fostering the training and education of the younger generation of transplanters is great. I think so. I was president in 2014, and I think we all leave a legacy when we're presidents. We all have what we call our initiative, what we're going to do. And the two things I'm particularly proud about is that in my year, we started the issue of access. We were seeing data that only 30% of patients with myeloma who could benefit from an autologous transplant were actually getting it. We were seeing data coming out of the National Marrow Donor Program that less than 40% of patients who could be potentially candidates for an allo transplant were actually getting it. And that we're starting to understand that part of this was not only access to transplant centers, but actually was, late referrals and some knowledge gap within referring physicians. So I think we made a concerted effort to look at all the other stakeholders, including industry. We developed a huge program with Sanofi to educate physicians in the community about the importance of early referral for myeloma transplant. We worked together with the American Society of Hematology and the National Marrow Donor Program, or Be the Match, to develop a program for early referral for acute leukemias. I think those programs have been ongoing, and they're starting to, I would say, hopefully show fruits at this time, and that we now are getting patients earlier in the course of their disease. More and more patients know about ASBMT, about Be the Match, and about transplant. And that will make a difference in quantity and quality of life for patients with blood cancer. So, I mean, we all recognize that the field is changing. Cellular therapies are here to stay. I mean, we now have two products that will be, one product that's already approved and one that's soon to be approved for the treatment of acute lymphoblastic leukemia and for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Will these products replace transplant? Will they make transplant better? We don't know. But we are cellular therapists. I mean, I think this is what we do for a living. Whether we give high-dose chemotherapy with stem cells, whether we give high-dose chemotherapy with stem cells and more cell therapies, whether we give conventional chemotherapy with other forms of cellular therapies, we are, as our mission statement says, we are the place to come for cellular therapies. We are cellular therapists. And I think as we evolve over the next 25 years, we'll be known as cellular therapists. We'll be known as the people who deliver the cellular therapies of tomorrow, who make the cellular therapies of tomorrow, and who design the cellular therapies of tomorrow. Happy 25th, ASBMT.